crocheters, welcome to my studio. It's Karen Whooley, your host, and welcome to episode 19. I have changed the name of my podcast. Like I mentioned, it's called Crochet All Day. Even though I will talk about knitting once in a while and some other stuff once in a while, crochet is my passion. You guys all know that. So that is what this video and this podcast going forward is going to be known as, and it's going to be mostly crochet. I'm going to try to limit how much knitting and other stuff I do. I will show you some other projects later that are knitted, but I'm so excited you're here in the new studio. You can see behind me, I'm in a new angle. I've rearranged my entire office. You can still see my yarn is in the same place, but I've actually moved things around so that it makes better flow, I guess is the best word for it. Even my husband said he likes my office set up this way better. So here we are. This is what we're doing now. And I just want to jump in and get started with the topic this week. I don't know how many of you are out there that have subscribed to my newsletter, but if you are not subscribed to my newsletter, I highly recommend that you check the link in the show notes below, or I'll put a banner here with the subscribe link that you guys can subscribe to my newsletter. But I just this week did a blog post on caring for hand-dyed yarns. Now, if you know anything about me, I love to design with hand-dyed yarns. I love working with indie dyers, and I did a little video last week of my blog post that I'm going to plug in right here in a minute. But I want to talk about 3 things with working with hand-dyed yarns or caring for hand-dyed yarns. 1 is to check for color fastness. 2 is how to work with those hand-dyed yarns that might be a little different. One's darker than the other, that kind of thing. And number 3 is how to care for them. So I'm going to roll the video right now. We're going to just jump right on in and let's get started. Hello everyone. I'm so excited that you're here with me today. Let's just jump right in. I have a really fun topic to talk about. I love hand-dyed yarns. You probably can tell that just by looking at the shelves behind me. Most of the patterns in my catalogs are made with hand-dyed yarns, and I love indie dyers. I always want to support small businesses, as I'm a small business too, and I think it's important to support each other this way. I'm always looking for new hand dyers to work with, so if you know one, let me know. But taking care of hand-dyed yarns can be tricky sometimes. If the color isn't set properly, it can bleed into the other colors that are in your project. And sometimes there are special fiber blends, such as silk and linen or some specialty fibers, that may require extra special care when you're washing your project. Today, I want to talk about how to make sure your yarns stay as wonderful as the day you bought them. Let's start with color fastness. I have a little trick I do to let me know that the yarn color has been set correctly for color fastness. I cut off a small piece of the yarn and let it soak in a glass of water. If the color bleeds into the water, changing the color from clear to something else, then you know that you might need to be extra cautious on how you deal with the yarn. What I do is put the yarn in a lingerie bag and wash it in a gentle cycle in my washing machine. Or you can hand soak it for a bit and then lay it flat to dry. I use a little bit of will wash, but you don't necessarily have to do that. That's just something I do. If you are still having bleeding issues, especially if you are finding that the color bleeds onto your hands, ask me how I know, contact the dyer for other recommendations. If you're using colors such as red or black or any dark color with a lighter color, always check the color fastness. Prepping the yarn before you start crocheting will save you heartache later. Now let's work with hand-dyed yarns. Let's talk about that. Each hank of hand-dyed yarn is unique. Sometimes the color varies from one hank to another. And this can be a problem, and I have had this, when you're crocheting a lawn and you add the next hank, and all of a sudden, the one section of the project is darker than the other. This color difference is normal because everything is done by hand. Although the dyers try to keep the colors the same, there are always some sort of differences. To avoid this obvious difference in color in the project, make sure you work with 2 or 3 hanks at a time. This is how I do it. I take the first hank and work 1 to 2 rows, pick up the next hank and work 1 to 2 rows, pick up the next hank and 1 to 2 rows. And you go back and forth with 1 or 2 or 2 or 3 hanks, but you blend them together that way. Now let's talk about laundering your hand-dyed yarns. The type of fibers in your hand-dyed yarn is going to determine how you launder your project. Animal fibers can be wet soaked in a sink. I don't recommend putting the item in the washing machine the first time you wash the project unless you have to do some additional prepping before you start. Always wash in cold water and use a wool wash or a gentle detergent. If you soak the piece, lay it out on a towel and roll it up, and then press as hard as you can to get the excess water out. Always lay it flat to dry, shaping and blocking as you need to. If you have yarn that is in some form at least part linen or silk, I do not recommend soaking or machine washing at all. If the project needs cleaning, I would bring it to a dry cleaner and carefully relay to them what the fibers are in the piece. But if you just need to block the piece, do a steam block with a hot iron or steamer, ensuring you get the project damp but not soaking. And make sure that you don't touch the piece with the iron or the steamer. I have found you can melt fibers that way. Ask me how I know. Cotton is a beast of its own. I recommend a steam block, but others will soak in or machine wash on a gentle cycle. If in doubt, take it to the dry cleaners. But if there's a specialty fiber like bamboo, milk, corn, or something else, I would recommend reading the label and contacting the dyer if you're still unsure of what to do. So I hope this little video answers your questions about working with hand-dyed yarns. Tell me about your experiences with caring for hand-dyed yarns. Leave me a comment below or shoot me an email. Do you have a question about a particular yarn? Let me know how I can help. I'm always glad to do that. Thanks for being here. Have a great day. Okay, so we jumped in, we watched everything about caring for hand-dyed yarns. If you guys have any questions for me, put them in the comments below, or you can go to my blog post. I'm going to put it right here. There's going to be a link there. You can actually post on the blog. I'm really excited about starting my blog again. It's been a couple years since I've really started to work with my blog again, my blog at all actually. And so I'm going to be every single week on Tuesdays putting up a new blog post. So I hope you guys will join me for those. If you're not subscribed, again, I'm going to put the subscribe link right here, and I'm going to put it in the show notes so you can subscribe at any time. One thing I want to make all of you aware of is that a couple weeks ago I did a poll on my Instagram channel, and I was asking crocheters what struggles you have with reading patterns. And I didn't talk about charts, it was just the words of the pattern. And I asked if it was the actual words and how to read the actual words and understand it, or if it was the symbols like the brackets and the curly brackets and the square brackets and the asterisks and things like that confuse you more. And over 80% of you said that the symbols confuse you more than the words, which shocked me. I mean, it absolutely shocked me, because when I'm teaching classes live, usually it's the words that people have trouble with. But now that I'm thinking about it, those symbols kind of distort the words a little. So learning what those brackets and symbols mean is really important. So I created a guide just for you guys. You can download it for free. It has all the information about the symbols and the brackets and all that stuff, but it also has other things like a standard abbreviations for the industry. It has how to convert from the UK terminology to the US terminology and vice versa, so back and forth, because I know a lot of you are using the UK terminology. There's actually more in there besides those two things, but I wanted to just give you an example of what is in this guide. It's absolutely free. Here is the link right here on how to download it. I also have it in the show notes for you. So if you're interested in grabbing that, that is available to you for free. So if you have any questions about caring for hand-dyed yarns or using hand-dyed yarns, let me know in the comments and I will respond next week. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to my current projects. Well, I'm excited, guys. I mentioned last week that I'm working on my son's cross stitch. That is still on a rack, so I won't be able to show it this week, but I wanted to show you my sweater. I got my sweater to a point, right? Actually, tonight I am hoping to divide for the sleeves. I have everything done. It's actually right here behind me. Ooh, there we go. Hard to see kind of right now because of the way, there we go. So I am actually, remember this is a boat neck, so this is going to stretch a little, and I have to put this on a longer cable in order for you to see the bottom, but I have finished doing all of the raglan sleeve increases, and so I'm going to put this, there we go, there are my 2 stitch markers. So you can kind of see there's the raglan sleeve increases. I have them on four different spots, so I'll have the sleeves divided hopefully tonight. I just need to finish a little bit on my son's last square that I just started working on last night, and when that's done I'm going to put this on the sleeves on waste yarn, and then I can start the body. I'm so excited. I bought a little extra yarn. I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys when I was talking about this, but I did buy a little bit extra yarn so that I could lengthen it, because from the underarm to the hem, or to right before the ribbing, is only 11 inches, and that makes it a cropped sweater for me. And I'm not a fan of cropped sweaters, even though I'm losing weight. I'm not a fan of the cropped right now on me, so I'm going to make it a little longer, probably closer to hip length. So probably add another maybe 6 inches to the body before I go to work on the sleeves. But I'm so excited to be this far along. This is amazing for me. And this, yes, I know this is knitted, and I mentioned I'm going to start working on more crochet things, and I do have a couple crochet things to show you. Here is my sweater, my crocheted sweater. I still haven't blocked these yet, but here's the front of my sweater. I'm really excited about this though. As soon as I can get this going, I am going to be working on this. I just need to do one other thing before I get to that. So the sweater is here. It's in a special bag all by itself. It's going to be sitting on the chair behind me. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a chair behind me. There's my Crimson Night shawl, which you'll get for free, the pattern for free, and you register or you sign up for my newsletter. But I wanted to show you, I did wind this yarn. I'm probably going to start on this later this week. But this is the next project. This is going to be the shawl made out of the bamboo yarn, and this is the color order I decided to go with. I decided to start with the raspberry, have the goldenrod in the middle, and then the deep space on the edging. So this is how it's going to look. I'm going to put it this way. I guess I'm too short to get it to go the other way. But this is the way the colors, and I just wound these yesterday. So they're ready to go. I already know what I'm going to do with them. I just have to start crocheting. I just need to get the first part of the pattern written and crochet, and that's going to happen later this week as well. I decided that even though the sweater's not done, I do need to get working on this shawl, because next month I'm actually going to be starting my book, and I need to get these two both off my plate in order to start my book. So that is why they are going to be worked on simultaneously. I'm really excited about that. And that's all I'm working on right now, other than the cross stitch I mentioned. But this is going to be the crocheted shawl and the crocheted sweater. And then let's talk about what's new in the studio. Okay, I got some really cool yarn this last week. This is from Purple Lamb. I'm going to put her label up here. Purple Lamb. She's out of let's see, she out of Irving, Texas, and this is her Monet water lilies on her Sock Perfection Artist Collection. So I don't know if you guys can see all of that. Here, I'm going to back up a little. There's a little bit purple in there, but then there's the water lilies, the traditional blues and greens. What's so exciting about this yarn for me is that, you know, I love blues and purples and teals and greens and stuff like that. Those are my colors. But if you follow art at all, Monet's water lilies are my absolute favorite art that you will ever see. As far as I'm concerned, my aunt, my dad's sister, when I was growing up, had a beautiful print on her wall of one of the water lilies series paintings, and I fell in love with it probably as a, you know, before I was 10, and it's always been my favorite. So when she came out with this colorway, I was so excited. But this interesting thing is that this is not only the water lilies, but this is also dyed. And for those of you who've watched other other podcasts, know that I talked about assigned pooling, and this is dyed purposely for assigned pooling. So I already have a pattern in mind for this, and I'm going to be using this, and I'm going to be teaching about assigned pooling later this year. So this is a colorway that she's going to have always in her lineup of colors. Again, she's Purple Lamb. This is her Sock Perfection yarn. I should mention it's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It's 450 yards in each hank, 3.5 ounces, and of course 4 ply for those of you who go by the plies. But this color, isn't it gorgeous? It's just amazing. So we are going to be doing some stuff on assigned pooling later this year, or I am, and then I will probably do like a crochet along for you guys to learn about assigned pooling. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned because I will be talking about that. Now the last thing I want to show you that's new in the studio is, you guys have all seen that blanket that I made for my daughter's best friend. I just bought yarn for my niece. I'm going to make it in the same pattern, and this time I'm going to write the pattern better so that I can actually release the pattern. But these are the colors for my niece Jessica. It's a kind of a teal. The dark one is a kind of a teal color. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm white and then a very light pale teal color. These are all loops and threads from Michaels. They didn't have Red Heart Super Saver in colors that I liked. I don't know, do you guys notice that Michaels is kind of limiting their other brands other than their own? And there's not as many colors of Red Heart as there used to be. So that was kind of unfortunate. But Loops and Threads works. I used it for my niece or my daughter's best friend's blanket as well. The 2 of the 3 colors were Loops and Threads, and I don't mind it. It was just one of those things that I was really looking for Red Heart and couldn't find the colors I wanted. So I don't know if your Michaels are like that. I know that Hobby Lobby has completely wiped out everybody else's yarn, so that that might be the way Michaels will be going in the future. I don't know. That's kind of strange. But anyway, that's all that's new in the studio. That's new yarns and my projects. And that's pretty much it for this week. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Happy Wednesday. Have a great, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll see you next week. And thanks for being here. You guys have no idea how, even though some of these have been really short, you have no idea how wonderful it is to hear from you guys and talk to you guys. So if you are interested in any topics or anything that you would like to comment on, I'd really love it if you would comment on this video. Make sure you like and subscribe as well. And I'll talk to you guys next week. Have a great one. Love y'all. Bye y'all.